She likes to pose too. This is Miss Foggy. And anybody have clues what kind of a bird this is? Yeah, young man. A hawk. What kind of a hawk? Red-tailed hawk. Look at that beautiful red tail. These are the common hawks that are found all around here. We get more of them down here in the wintertime, as some of the ones up north come down to join our crew. And these are the ones you see on the power poles or on the fence posts or on the sign poles when you're driving along. And they are hunting when they're sitting up there. These are daytime hunters. They're called diurnal birds. Diurnal means daytime. And they hunt along the roadways. And one of the reasons they do that is because the highway department mows down the sides of the road, making that fairly short. And the rabbits and things would rather graze in that stuff than go out in a field where the grass is this high and it makes it hard for them to chew off and eat. So these guys like to hunt the roadway. And when your car drives along, it will vibrate the roadbed and something stick its head up, and these guys will come after it. And they can see, for these guys' eyes are incredible. You know, you're in a library, there's lots of library books, so let's just suppose for a moment that you checked out a library book here from the library, and you were sitting in Arrowhead Stadium underneath one of the goalposts, and you had your back to the other goalpost, and you were reading your library book there, and on one of those uprights on the other goalpost, 120 yards away, was a red-tailed hawk sitting up there. That red-tailed hawk, if it could read, would be able to read your book from there. They have unbelievable eyesight. They see a lot better colors than we do. They see a lot more detail than we do, and they can just see anything. So when they're sitting up on that post, anything that moves along that road, they see it. But they're just like the owls. They don't know about looking both ways. And so, you know, they do the same thing. They come down in that stoop, and they don't never take their eyes off their prey, because if they do, they'll lose it. And so then they fly across that road, and sometimes they get hit by a car. And that's actually what happened here to Miss Foggy. Miss Foggy was in Bonner Springs, Kansas. There was a car driving along the road, and they saw this red-tailed hawk laying alongside the road, obviously been hit by a car, but they thought it was probably still alive, so they stopped. They got out, went over and checked out Miss Foggy, and sure enough, she was alive, but she was unconscious. They knew about us, so they picked her up, and they put her in the back seat of their car. They did not wrap her in a towel. They did not put her in a box or any kind of containment container. And guess what happened? She woke up. They got to our place and come bailing out of the car. Help, we got a red-tailed hawk in the car. It's all over the place. So we got her out. And it turned out that other than having been unconscious, the only other thing that was wrong with her is she's blind in her left eye. And these guys, because they hunt by eyesight, not by ears like the owls generally hunt, she's got to have both eyes in order to be able to hunt her prey. And so we can't release her. Other than that, she's fine. I mean, she can fly just fine. But I'm going to show you that she's blind in this eye. See, she can't see my hand at all. But if I move it to the other side like this, see how she reacts to that? So she can see out of her right eye just fine, but she can't see out of her left eye. Now this bird is an old bird. She came to us in 1995. And she was a full adult in 1995. Red-tailed hawks do not get their red tail until their second year of life. Their tail is brown the first year. Then when it molts, it comes in red the second year. Her eyes start out yellow, and they change to brown in the third year. So we knew she was in her 3rd year at least when she came to us. So the youngest she could have been was to be hatched in 1993. And this is 2019. So that's 26 years old. Now, in the wild, these guys live maybe 15 years, if they're lucky. But you know, one of the reasons that the birds live a lot longer in our facility than they do in the wild, there's several reasons. I mentioned that some of them have trouble getting food in the wintertime. Well, they don't have any trouble getting food in our facility. Somebody brings them food every day. They have room service every day but Tuesday. They don't get fed on Tuesdays. And the reason is they don't eat every day in the wild either. So, and some of them, you can tell, particularly with the little screech owls, that, you know, they need a day to fast because they didn't eat all their meal the day before. They get a mouse every day. I don't know if you know about screech owls, but they're about 5 inches tall and really small. And they eat a mouse every day, generally. But when they're starting to get full and not so fun, you know, we record everything. We're just like a hospital. We keep a record of everything, including leftovers, what they didn't eat. And so one of the days you'll go back there and you'll look at that chart and on that bird, and it'll say, for leftovers, it'll say 1 headless mouse, because they always eat the head, always. But sometimes they leave the rest of it. So, don't know, there must be something special in their head. But anyway, Miss Foggy, one of the reasons they live longer, of course, they get food every day with room service. Number 2 is they don't have any predators. Nothing's going to pick on them. Nothing's going to attack them. You know, they all have their individual flight pens, and we don't let anything in there that's going to eat them, so that's helpful. Also, when it gets really, really cold in the winter, it gets down to 5 degrees. If it gets down to 5 degrees, we'll bring Foggy inside so she can get some heat. And if it gets above 95, they don't have a place. You know, their flight pens have some shade, but it's not like out in the wild where you can find a cooler spot or something to nest. So if it gets above 95, we bring them into air conditioning to give them that. But best of all, for you adults in the group, they have 100% health care coverage and no copay. So they do pretty well. Why are your wings still out? You're supposed to bring those in, Foggy. Let's see if we can get those in. You're doing a pretty good job. I'm going to move back. Anyway, red-tailed hawks come in 9 different color patterns. In the winter, a lot of times we get Crider's phase hawks down here, and they're almost pure white with just a red tail. And then there is one color morph that is chocolate brown all over except for red flecks in its tail. Around here, most of them are colored like this, although some of them will have orange chests as opposed to white like Foggy does. So there's a lot of there's actually 15 different subspecies and 9 different colors for red-tailed hawks. Well, with that, anybody have any questions about Foggy or red-tailed hawks or anything else? Yeah.
How did she get her name?
Well, when she came in, she's got a little foggy patch in her left eye where she's blind, and so that's how she got the name Foggy.
What's a subspecies?
Well, red-tailed hawk is a species, but the ones down in Florida are different than the ones up here, so that's called a subspecies. Like the Crider's phase I talked about, that is all white, it's pretty much all white except red tail. That's a separate, what's called a subspecies. They're still red-tailed hawks, but they're not like the other red-tailed hawks, and they normally do not interbreed with each other. So Crider's hawks will only have mates that are Crider's hawks, and these guys will meet with theirs. Yeah. Oh, great question. These guys are like great horned owls. They're found in every state except one. You want to tell me where they're not found? Hawaii is the right answer. All right, sweetie. Is she heavy? She weighs about the same as the great horned owl, about 4 pounds. And when they catch something, they can't fly off with it and weigh more than 2 inches. Their bones are hollow, and so they're pretty lightweight considering their size.
When you put your pin on the blind side, and then you put the pin on the thin side, why did you open it?
Because it surprises you, it's a shock. You know how when somebody walks up behind you and says something, or, you know, you'll jump a little bit, that's what she's doing. All right. Did you have a question, young lady? How old is she? We do not know for sure how old she is, but she's at least 26. Are you ready to go back in? She does not like to go with her kid. Whoops. Well, that's one less thing I have to